Take a look at the some notes, offensive line. This is from Nick Wagner, who is a 49ers beat reporter of all things. Wyatt Teller, 9th in pass block win rate. Bitonio is 15th. The Browns are 11th in pass block win rate, 24th out of 32 teams in run block win rate. They're giving up a sack on 9.8, so almost 10% of the dropbacks. That ranks 5th worst in the league, 37.2 pressure rate, 6th worst. Browns passers are taking, on average, 3.09 seconds to throw. That is 2nd slowest in the league. So, Quincy, how do you fix the offensive line?
Well, right now you have a Rube Goldberg machine of problems that are compounding on top of each other, right? You can have a bad offensive line, but if your quarterback gets rid of the ball quickly, it doesn't matter as much, right? You can have a good offensive line, but if your quarterback doesn't get rid of the ball, or maybe he blows his death, or maybe he just kind of rolls out the pocket, then it's going to look like you have a bad offensive line. Right now, they're not playing complementary football within the pocket, right? The offensive line is not doing things that's helping Deshaun Watson. In turn, Deshaun Watson is doing things that's not very beneficial to the offensive line. And this is a cycle that's repeating itself. I think they all need to get together and figure out, okay, if you get beat, I can do this. And I think we saw signs of this, Dave, in the Tennessee game, where you saw Deshaun stay in the pocket far more often and actually saw him start to step up and do some of the things he used to do in in Texas. So I think there were signs of this improving. It's just, it needs time. They need chemistry. They need to figure out each other in this offense. What's going to help them the best? What does Deshaun like to do? It's not a plug and play thing. We even saw this with Aaron Rodgers for like the 2 plays that he had in New York. Part of the reason that somebody was able to get to him so easy was that the chemistry was not there. New quarterbacks in new situations, it's going to take a while for that to gel with the offensive line. And then you add on top of it that Deshaun Watson has had his own problems creating pressures, getting sacked in his previous history in Houston. So this is something he's trying to get better at as well. You know, it's going to be a bit more of a process than I think people thought. And I think that's just what's happening there. I think it's just a process. They're not as bad as those numbers would imply from a talent perspective, but they're all doing things that aren't helping each other, and it's compounding these problems and making them worse. That's a fixable thing, though.
All right, before we go to break, let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave, Brent from Cleveland. I have one good thing. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play, I wouldn't want Jedrick Wills getting my blind side, because he'd probably get hurt worse than he is now. Yeah, I just want to throw that at you, see what you think, brother. I love you, man. Be good, be safe. It's a jungle out there, but you have a good one. Great show, as always, brother.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Quincy, they got to find a way to work around what's going on with the line. There are schematic things that you do and some things that you adjust.
I mean, also it's up to Watson as well. And I would point out to Deshaun, like, you didn't get hurt in the pocket. You got hurt ramming your body into 2 safeties, right? At the 2-yard line after you already got the first down. So I don't think you can blame Jed for your blindside protection and all that. Like, no, I think you just got to figure out how can Jed ride out getting beat inside, right? You get beat inside. If you get beat in front of me, I can step around that and do fine with that. And again, we saw evidence of this happening in the Tennessee game, and I think that will continue to improve whether Jed's out there or not. But, you know, as far as blocking his blind side, look, if Jed's the only one not being terrible out there, I think you could work around that. It's more or less a question of how many talented offensive linemen you have. If you have 4 good and 1 bad, you can work with that. Teams do it all the time. If you have more than 3 bad offensive linemen, which right now the Browns have, then you can't work around that. There's nothing you could do to fix that. There's nothing schematically that can fix that. You just kind of stink. And the thing is that we know that 2 of these guys who are stinking right now, they don't stink. So they just need to play better. But it really has to do, it's a numbers game when it comes to the offensive line. I think Jed is being extra exposed because the rest of the offensive line is playing under expectation.